Thanks, Andrew, and good afternoon to those on the East Coast, and to those in Perth, good morning. And thank you for your time today to participate in this webinar. Flynn Gold, as Andrew has mentioned, is in the middle of a rights issue, so we'll talk about that at the end of the presentation. But as you may have heard today, we announced the start of drilling at our exciting Golden Ridge project. So before I go into some details around that, I'll just run through the presentation and take questions at the end. Just moving on to the traditional disclaimers here. It's all the announcements there that are included in this presentation, including the announcement today, you'll see. So for those not familiar with the company, we were listed in June 2021. The company raised $10 million with a focus on gold, and in particular gold in Tasmania. And we've obviously done most of our work to date in that area. Current capital structure sees us with 164 million shares on issue prior to the rights issue being completed. Share price is trading about 4.8 this morning last time I looked, but yesterday closed at 4.6. It gives us an enterprise value of about $6 million and only a few unlisted options and performance rights in the capital structure outside of those shares on issue. Importantly, the shareholding, you can see there, our major shareholder, Colin Burke, is sitting at 36%. Colin's associated with, or is a good friend of Clive Duncan, and has been involved in the company since pre-IPO. Directors, including our chairman, Clive, have 5.7% holding in the company, and Lau Resources Fund, you can see there John Ford on our board, representing Lau Resources Fund. They've been in since pre-IPO in the seed round, and they've participated in all phases of capital raising, including this rights issue, and they're sitting at 4.6% at the moment. So it's very good to have Lau on our register. As I mentioned, Clive and John, the other fellow director we've got is Sam Garrett, who's a geologist with extensive experience and a number of discoveries under his belt. So he provides a really good technical support to myself on the board. So as I mentioned, when the company listed, our focus was on northeast Tasmanian gold. That continues to be our focus. We've got some other projects which aren't in the northeast of Tasmania, which are also very interesting, gold and battery metals. So certainly Tasmania remains the focus of the company. We've got 12 tenements there in total, with the majority of those being in the northeast. But in Western Australia, since the company's listed, it's been building up its portfolio of gold and lithium assets. And so we've now got projects up in the Pilbara and in the southern Yilgarn area around Mount Holland and Lake Johnson. So I'll cover those projects in a bit of detail at the back of the presentation. For those not familiar with northeast Tasmania, from a geologist's point of view, it's a very attractive location to be going and looking for what we're seeing in Victoria, which is very high grade vein gold systems, orogenic gold systems. And surprisingly, the northeast of Tasmania, whilst it's in the same Lachlan origin geological setting, there hasn't been a lot of exploration or mining in the northeast. It certainly has been overshadowed by exploration on the mainland over a long time. However, there is a history of good production. The Beaconsfield gold mine produces almost 2 million ounces to date, with the last mining operations there finishing in 2012. Closer to our ground, a place called Mathina, they pulled out over a 250,000 ounces at 26 grams per tonne back in the 1800s and into the 1920s. But surprisingly, since the Mathina gold mine operations closed down, there hasn't been a lot of gold exploration in the area. The northeast has been more renowned of late for tin projects, and they were certainly running up until the 1960s. But yeah, certainly exploration for gold using modern techniques has not really been very extensive. And so we see an opportunity there for us to apply modern exploration techniques to make the next high-grade gold discovery. And we think we're onto that with certainly what we're doing at Golden Ridge. Tasmania, very good jurisdiction to be exploring in. We've got a very supportive regulatory regime. The mines department there is very supportive of our exploration activities. Generally, the community is very pro mining. We've got a skilled workforce, a lot of mining going on the west coast, of course, and there's excellent infrastructure. We're close to everything, bitumen roads, airports, ports, and what have you. So it's a very good jurisdiction to be exploring in. And when you look at our tenement package in a little bit more detail, you can see our focus really to date has been, certainly in the last 12 months, Golden Ridge and also Warrantina. Golden Ridge, we think, is intrusive related gold system. And because of that, we think it's got the potential to host a significant amount of gold mineralisation. Warrantina is very much a traditional Victorian style orogenic gold system. There's gold mineralisation basically running from Mangana in the south all the way through Warrantina to Lyndhurst in the north. So that's about an 80 to 100 kilometre corridor where there's a lot of gold being found, including at Mathina. So we've been very encouraged with the history of exploration at Warrantina, and certainly the work we've been doing since we acquired it last year. There's also tin and tungsten in northeast Tasmania, and it's nice to see the tin price rallying at the moment, but our exploration efforts there are not our real focus at the moment. Golden Ridge certainly has been our focus. We've got more and more signs of this being a large intrusive related gold system. It's got a history of historical workings, basically double event. All these workings through here and over at Kensington are all old shafts and adits are dotted around the area. We've been doing some soil sampling, which we announced yesterday, and that's really just identified some new targets. So we've extended it out to 9 kilometres now with Grenadier and Big Penny here on the east. Additional contacts to the north of Grenadier and Big Penny have the potential to also be mineralised. We will be doing some soil sampling north of those areas over the coming months. So since the company listed, really, we've focused initially on where the main workings were, which is at Brilliant and Trafalgar. We did 14 drill holes at Brilliant and confirmed there's some high-grade mineralisation there. We started drilling at Trafalgar in 2022 and have drilled 14 holes there with some exceptional results, over 100 grams per tonne intersected, which demonstrates the potential for us to have a significant resource at Trafalgar. And then we've done some scout reconnaissance RC drilling, these green dots through here at Link Zone, Blinding, over at Kensington as well. There's 12 holes drilled there, and we certainly intersected gold mineralisation in all of those locations, which really confirmed to us the opportunity that this project presents. And as I said, we've been following that up with soil sampling programs and identified not only Big Penny and Grenadier, but also in the granites, this area called Duke has turned up as a gold anomaly. So we'll be having a very good look at that area as well. Now this image is an oblique view looking sort of from the northeast towards the southwest. So we've got the granite intrusive, which was that pink zone in the previous map. So west is over here, east is here. You can see Trafalgar and Brilliant are shown, and we've got grade shells, which are these shapes on the image. Overlain on top of this is the soil map we announced yesterday, and you can see these anomalous soil gold zones where the red intense colours are. Grenadier, we just took some samples along a road which runs up from Kensington in this direction. So these samples were taken along the roadside in the last couple of months, and we identified an anomaly here at Grenadier, which we're going to do some more sampling on to get an understanding of the extent there. Big Penny is the same over here. We pushed soil sampling from Trafalgar all the way up through Double Event to Big Penny, and we've got some anomalies here. There's been good rock chip samples in those areas as well. And where we've done drilling is basically, as I said, from Kensington, we did some RC drilling. You can see the results of that. Link zone, really good interval here, 33 metres at half a gram for one drill hole drilled to test underneath this soil anomaly here. And at Trafalgar and Blinding and Brilliant, we've got some good intersections there. Certainly the best results to date have been at Trafalgar. So this is certainly an exciting project for us. we think there's potential for more mineralisation all the way around this contact, and also within the granite itself with soil anomalies like Duke showing up. That's really quite an exciting development for us. And we're certainly seeing over at Trafalgar with our drilling that the gold occurs not only in the sediments, but also in the granite itself. So this is the latest vein model which we put out today, and that shows three main veins. There's historical shafts in this area here, and the Trafalgar main vein runs through those old workings. We've got this magazine vein which comes in through from the east, and also there's another major vein we've mapped, and it's called the Trafalgar South vein. And these main veins have all had intersections, significant intersections. In the case of the drilling to date, we've put 15 holes, including one drilled about a decade ago by other parties. But those 15 holes have yielded five of those holes have yielded intersections exceeding 100 grams per tonne gold. And you can see these numbers shown in red here, all around the 137 up to 170 over here at the east in hole 13. So very encouraging. We've got in the main vein itself, we've got about 4 intersections of over 100 grams. Here's the easternmost one. And then we've got these two holes here, 150 and 137. They're all intersections in the main vein at depth, Trafalgar main, and also over in the east. The gold mineralisation, broadly speaking, we've intersected in drilling. It's about 400 metres, open in both directions, and the drill holes are very widely spaced. Most of the holes are at least 100 metres away from the next intersection. So at this point in time, we've just been establishing the scale of the mineralisation at Trafalgar, and certainly with the modelling that's been done by our team internally, we're very excited about the opportunity to be back there drilling starting today. And also, in the meantime, we've also been doing some metallurgical test work late last year. We took some samples from some of the lower grade material, like this stuff down here, where we've got 62 metres at 0.6. Some of that material through to the very high grade stuff. We did some cyanide leaching test work and got recoveries on average about 94.5%, which was very good for a first pass, and provides us with a lot of confidence around the ability to recover gold when mining commences sometime in the future, hopefully. So the drilling, as I said, we announced today the start of drilling. First hole has been collared, place called, or the hole number is TFDD 016. Drilled down to, or it's been drilled down to just over 300 metres depth, targeting below this historical shaft, which is about 60 metres depth. We'll be intersecting below that shaft about 40 metres to the base of the shaft. So we should start to see mineralisation kicking in somewhere around the 100 to 150 metre mark. As of today, the first report from the driller this morning was that they were down to about 40 metres at the start of the shift this morning. So they're making good progress after just a day or two. And so that hole will push through. We're aiming to intersect not only the main shaft, but also the magazine vein and the Trafalgar South vein with this drill hole. Then we will step over to the east and test under TFD 13, which had the highest intersection here, which was 0.5 metre at 170. And that hole is also planned to intersect all three veins down to about 230 metres of hole length. So we're looking forward to the results of those coming through over the coming weeks. We've got a lot of other holes planned, and really once we've got these two holes in and had a look at the logging of those holes, we'll make decisions around which hole we'll drill next. But certainly there's plenty of targets for us to test at Trafalgar. On to our other projects, Warrantina. I'll very briefly talk about that. This was acquired last year from Greatland Gold. There's over 6 kilometres of workings here in this Warrantina gold field, plus up at Forrester, there's more gold workings in production there. Quite a bit of drilling at an area called Derby North, produced some really good results you can see there. We did some drilling late last year and came up with some very good results. And there's potential for us to be identifying a mineral resource with a little bit of additional drilling. We're actually be modelling the mineralisation over the coming weeks on this project. This result shows you the interval we intersected to date. So we basically drilled in an opposite direction to historical drilling, which is all drilled to the east, and we've drilled to the west and come up with some good intervals there, which confirm that this is sort of multiple veins and steeply dipping. And you can see the core there looks very similar to what you'd see if you were drilling in the Victorian goldfields. Over in the northwest of Tasmania, we've got two projects, Firetower, which I'll talk about in a moment, and also a lead zinc project at Henty. Henty's, there's an excellent range of targets at Henty, but our main focus, obviously, in the northwest will be Firetower, where we did some drilling in late 2023. We put in extended 3 drill holes and put in a drill hole of our own in this area here. You can see on this map the grade shells from mineralisation that's been modelled previously. The strike length of this is about 350 metres from here to the western side, and about down to about 150 metres depth. The Eureka Fault we've mapped, and this is a new development for us. In our modelling, we've identified what's controlling the high-grade mineralisation there, because not only are we seeing gold, we're also seeing cobalt and tungsten, which is quite an exciting development in this day and age. Modelling is ongoing at Firetower at the moment, and this is an example of what we've got to at the moment. This is a leapfrog-shaped file, which shows you the grade shell of gold mineralisation over 1 gram. The best interval we hit, which was in hole 7E, an extension to an earlier hole, was 17 metres with good gold, cobalt and tungsten intervals. And this controlling fault, the Eureka Fault, is a new development for us. It's helping us to understand the orientation of the mineralisation. So our planning for the next phase of drilling will very much be based on this model over the coming months. Henty, I'll just skip through that, but if you're interested in high-grade lead zinc, this project's got lots of targets there, and we've got approvals to drill at Grieve Siding and Mariposa at the right time. In Western Australia, our projects in the south, we've got an option on an area called Parker Dome, which you can see here, which is located 50 k's north of Mount Holland. We've done some soil sampling there since we secured that option in December last year. And we'll be doing more soil sampling on that shortly. And then we've got some other tenements close to Mount Holland. The plan is to get out there and do some first pass soil sampling before the end of the current quarter. The work we've done at Parker Dome so far, 700 samples were collected and reported a few weeks ago. The interesting thing about this project and why we acquired it was there's a number of old RAB drill holes which were recorded with pegmatites logged in the bottom of holes down to about 50 metres depth. You can see some of these holes in this line here, through here and through here. And where we've done our soils, we've identified lithium anomalies in the soils. Certainly this one here, target 2, matches up with the couple of lines of drilling. There's no drilling in between these two lines. So we'll be undertaking further soil sampling up in the northern project and this area over the next few days, and look forward to sort of confirming the results before we go and start some drilling programs there, which we're working through at the moment. And then over at Lake Johnson, we've got some land holdings there which are very, very close to TG6, the TG Metals, TG6 Burmeister lithium discovery. We've got Rio Tinto on ground to the east of us. They're in a joint venture with Charger on all these purple tenements as well. So really hotly contested area at the moment, with Rio farming in for major slab of expenditure. We've done some initial soil sampling in the last few weeks. We reported some results and picked up some good plus 100 ppm lithium soil anomalies as shown where these stars are. And I refer you back to our ASX announcement if you want to get more information on that. But that's certainly an exciting project, and we've got some ground to the north up here adjacent to Charger. So So we'll look forward to be doing a bit of work up there as well as further work on the southern area as we go forward. Mount Dove, we've got some gold and lithium soil anomalies on our granted tenure there, and very much in the right address. We've got Hemi, Pilangura, and Wodgina, all and also Tabba Tabba to the northeast. So it's a very exciting address to be exploring. We've got transported cover over all of our tenure in this area. We've done some soil sampling and got some anomalism, and certainly warrants further work going forward to drill test some of these soil anomalies. Okay, so the renounceable rights issue itself, it's a 1-for-2 rights issue to raise approximately $2.5 million before costs. It's priced at 3 cents. As I said, the share's trading at 4.6, 4.8 today. For every 2 new shares issued, there's 1 free attaching option, which is 7.5 cents price, exercise price, and 30 months from the date of issue is the term. We propose to have those listed on ASX. There's an indicative use of funds there, which is contained in the prospectus. This drilling program we're doing at the moment at Golden Ridge, we've allowed $750,000 for that. Other expenditure in Tasmania will include work we're doing on Fire Tower and Warrantina, but we should be able to fund additional drilling there. And we've retained, obviously, there's a lot of working capital reserved there, so we can adjust our exploration strategy as we go forward. The timetable you can see there, the rights are still trading for those who aren't shareholders at the moment but want to get involved in the capital raising. You've got until Monday to purchase rights on ASX under the ticker code FG1R. The last day for to take up your entitlements is, the last day to extend the closing date is Wednesday next week, which we don't anticipate extending at this point in time. The closing date of the offer is Tuesday the 30th of April, and the issue of shares will be about a week later after that. And finally, there's a bit of a timetable there. This presentation will be up on the website so people can have a look at that. But you can see our main focus, obviously, is Golden Ridge. We want to reinforce success, particularly with these new targets we've generated outside of Trafalgar as well. There's a lot of opportunity for us at Golden Ridge. So most of our effort will be there, but we will be doing work, modelling, as I said, and on Warrantina and Fire Tower. So the planning from that will lead to other activities, including drilling at those projects, hopefully in the coming months. Western Australia, the Parker Dome option, we're looking to be drilling there in the second half of this calendar year to test some of those targets that we've identified with soil sampling. And the rest of our lithium strategy will just take it fairly easily as far as expenditure is concerned in the current market. Obviously, we get rewarded for success on gold, but not necessarily on lithium at the moment. So our focus will be to spend most of our money in Tasmania on those gold projects. Just to wrap up, that's, as I said, we're focusing on the 3 projects in Tasmania, with Golden Ridge obviously being the most significant asset for us. And we think we've got a fabulous portfolio of projects. And I enjoy working with the board. We've got a very experienced team and also a very good management and technical team behind me. So that's the presentation. Look forward to taking some questions.
Thanks, Neil. Great presentation. And as you say, Flynn certainly got some fabulous projects. And in an environment of high-grade gold price, it's great that you guys are actually doing strong exploration activity in Tasmania. I do have a question that has come through, and if you'd like to ask any questions, just put it into the Q&A box that is in the bottom of the Zoom app. First question that's come through. Can you just update in terms of the drilling announcement today? What are you trying to achieve from that current drilling?
Yeah, look, as I said, the drilling to date, most of the intersections we've had have been they're wide spaced. We've drilled 14 holes, so most of those pierce points are 100 meters apart. So it's a mixture of some infill holes. Obviously, we'd like to be able to get enough information to put out some preliminary mineral resource estimates at some time later on this year. So there's a mixture of infill holes to fill in some gaps, but also some step out holes which will be aimed to extend it. So the first 2 holes are really probably what you'd call infill, in the sense that we're drilling close to known gold, high grade gold intersections. So the first hole is actually being drilled below the bottom of the shaft, where we know they pulled out some, historically they pulled out about 46 tonnes at 137 grams per tonne gold ore from the only records we know of. So we know they were mining stuff at about 130, 150 grams per tonne in the shaft. And the previous drill hole, the first one drilled in 2013, intersected a similar grade. So we're trying to fill in those gaps so we get more certainty around what these veins are doing. And the geology is quite complex, so certainly part of that drilling is also to confirm our model, so that once we get our understanding of the model, then it makes it easier to predict the next point to go and test. So yeah, it's an iterative process, but certainly we're trying to grow the resource over the next few months.
And Neil, you've also mentioned this week that you have found some more soil sampling targets. What are you going to do with those targets, and where does that come in terms of exploration priority?
So the team is progressively doing more soil sampling in those areas. As I said, Grenadier was just one line of soils along the side of a road that we've collected, which turned that anomaly up. So we'll be putting more of a grid over that and extending that, and certainly the same at Big Penny on the northeast side. Look, we also have plans. We've got high resolution mag surveys being flown over the next few weeks as well. So between the soil sampling work and the mag interpretive work, boots on the ground is very important. The more time we spend on the ground, the more bits of outcrop we find, the more sort of samples we can take, and all those measurements will aid us in planning. Hopefully some drilling in some of these other areas. Certainly where we've got on the eastern side, we've got quite a significant hotspot of gold and arsenic matching up. So yes, we do want to grow the resource and over time test some of these other areas. It's just a matter of priorities and funding, I suppose.
A couple of more questions have come through. When do you expect results from current drilling? And
okay, so one of the reasons we've kicked off the drilling now is because we want to get the first round of results back out to the market as quickly as possible. We're changing our sort of assay process this time around. We're sending samples into Bendigo to get photon assayed. They've suggested that they'll be able to do a 2-week turnaround from the time we get the samples to them. So if we'll probably get the first round of results in about 6 weeks' time, I'd say. So back end of May, we should be looking at first announcements of results from that first drill hole. And we'll be prioritising the samples which obviously look the most mineralised to go through the process as well.
Talking about prioritisation, how do you prioritise all your projects in Tasmania?
Well, obviously, the saying "great is king" applies in a sense. Certainly with Trafalgar, the results there have been more consistent and of a higher tenor than we've seen elsewhere in our drilling to date. The other thing, of course, Warrantina is a shallow, potentially open pittable resource in a pine plantation, which is just about to be logged in the next couple of years. So that's why those two projects are getting the most attention. And access wise is also important in the case of Golden Ridge and Warrantina, and even Firetail. They're all sort of forestry reserved areas. As I said, Warrantina's got a pine plantation on it. Golden Ridge is in a state area reserved for future logging, and there's been logging on our ground here. You can see in this photo where this has all been logged in the foreground here. There's plantation timber here, and there's plantation timber all the way right up to Trafalgar, which sits in this area here. And Brilliant is just out of the corner. So you can see, certainly land access issues help, but grade is very important if you're looking for narrow vein systems. High grade is very important to give you the potential for it to be economic.
And in the environment of the high grade gold price that we have at the moment, have you seen a change in the level of interest in Flynn over recent months?
Yes, certainly. A couple of years ago, after we'd did our first IPO and went to do our first raising, that was really at a point when the lithium sector was really hot, and it was quite difficult to get people attracted to the gold projects. Then we put out our first really high grade intersection at Trafalgar, and that sort of changed sort of perceptions on what we were doing a bit. And we certainly were able to raise 3.8 million on that round about 14 months ago. But certainly in the last few months and weeks, there's a lot of interest and a lot of positive support around our gold activities, and I think that's very encouraging going forward. Good gold price is very helpful.
Absolutely. So we've only got time for one last question, bit of an aspirational one. When would Flynn, even though it's early stages, have a goal that they might be able to be actually digging in northeast Tasmania?
Yeah, look, it's a good question, and aspiration-wise, I think that 3 years would not be unrealistic, and particularly the scale of mining. One of our geologists has just come from Costerfield. We recruited him 18 months ago because at Costerfield they pull out a couple of 100,000 tonnes of gold gold-bearing ore every year. They've got a small plant that they process that gold with antimony credits through, and Mandalay Canadian group who runs that make a lot of money out of that small scale sort of tonnage operation. So we could quite conceivably see us getting a resource of a scale which could be developed pretty quickly. Certainly when Henty Gold Mine opened in 1996, they had 500,000 tonnes at a grade of 26 grams per tonne as their ore reserve, and that was a 4-year mine life to process 500,000 tonnes. So in Tasmania, these deposits, unlike WA where you really need millions of tonnes throughput, 1 to 2 gram dirt material generally, the higher grade it is, the less tonnes you actually need to be mining to make pay for itself and make good money. So I think that's that's the aspiration for us, is low footprint, easy to get into operation. Trafalgar, we're drilling at the bottom of the hill and also at the top of the hill, so you've got topography which sort of helps you. You could put a decline in from the base of the hill and be pretty much straight into mineralisation within a few hundred metres of the development starting. So yeah, look, that's the sort of timeline that I'm working for.
Excellent. Well, I think, Neil, we'll probably leave it there. Thanks for the presentation today. The replay of the webinar will be loaded up to the Flynn Gold website. I'll leave it to you, Neil, just to make any closing remarks.
Yeah, look, thank you very much for everyone who's been online today. I recommend if you're a shareholder, seriously consider the offering, and thank you for your support and your continued support. And keep an eye on Flynn over the next few weeks as we get this drilling activity happening. Thank you.